What's up guys, my name is Zero Heroes and welcome back to more Gates of Hell news update. Yes, it's been a wee while since I've been away, I'm sorry. I basically just quick rundown that my computer was broken, or it kept stalling, it kept crashing, it kept basically breaking down, and I had to take it into my local computer store or fix it, and they sat it on the desk for about 6 hours, said there's nothing wrong with it, and we are kind of back to kind of square one where it does occasionally still happen. So, and that was being away, my computer was away for like 4 or 5 days, and I did put a community post up, so I hope most of you have read it. So I do apologize if there's been no videos, but I'm now back and content will be as normal again. So if you do want to stay more tuned for news update on Gates of Hell and all other war games, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and we are on the road to 3k. So if we can get that goal, that'd be fantastic. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, as you know, sorry, not mean that. So officially, devblog 160 animations and optimization has been announced. Now this came out on the 18th September, so literally today as of recording, and it's all about optimization, new animations, text mods, and reverse feature, which is what I'm most looking forward to, and a lot more. So if you've already read this article, let me know what you're most excited for in this new Dev Diary 160 in the comments down below. But without further ado, let's get straight into it, and I hope you do enjoy. So it says, hello everyone, today we will lift the veil on the next update, which will contain more new animations, update fixes, and optimizations. We plan for it to go on to the open beta first. Let's have a look at what's coming on our 60th update, which is an incredible milestone, I must say. 60th game update is absolutely incredible. I've never seen a game kind of update so much so quickly in its years that it's been out and released. So let's start off with optimization. So similar to our previous update, which brought improvements for Conquest, this one will bring several changes to battle zones, dominations, last stand, and front lines to improve performance. Now these are all game modes that are already in the game, but I honestly think that these game modes are probably the least played if you're including like all the game modes, such as, you know, single player campaign and Conquest. I feel like these are the least played out of all of them. I think they're not given enough love and attention as they did before, so I think they need to kind of bring out an update where they do maybe make something special for these game modes, but that'll be in another video. The multiplayer game modes should be smoother in general, and loading times will be shorter as well, thanks to a mix of several changes that influence both memory usage and amount of data in the loading process. That's really good to know, because I'm sure as players are out there that do play this game and, you know, or sorry, these game modes, and they do find it struggling, you know, when the loading times are a long time. But I feel like that's, in general, I feel like that's just something Gates of Hell need to tackle as a whole game, because especially I think one area I feel like they need to concentrate on is when people have mods on, they need to try and able to allow or be able to basically fix loading times when people play mods. Now it's difficult when there's different mods applied at once, that's way more difficult, but even if it's just a single mod that a player is using, then it would be fantastic if they can improve the loading time on that. But this is a great start for, you know, giving attention to kind of game modes that have kind of been left out or not been given much attention to, you know, in the last couple months, I feel, in my personal opinion. So that is a really good change. Going on to animations now. Like the previous update, this one will again contain a fair number of brand new animations. There will be several entirely new animations for idle soldiers and several other animations categories such as taking and sprinting. Now, as you know, with new animations currently for idle soldiers, that just means soldiers who kind of just stand still and don't do anything. I think the animations I know currently are in the game is where they start to smoke a cigarette and then they throw it out and then they kind of that's it, or they kind of hold their gun, or they kind of like move about a wee bit. That's kind of the animations that I know that I've seen. But the fact that they're introducing new ones are incredible, and I'm actually quite excited to see what they are. These are new animations that will play when you pick up items, when your soldiers start sprinting with their weapons in hand, or when they are doing nothing. So that includes, so when you're telling your soldiers to move from, tell them to sprint from one point to another point, there'll be, I think the movement will be a lot more realistic and natural. And also when they're just doing nothing, it'll be a wee bit more realistic in what they're doing when they just do absolutely nothing. Maybe kind of if it's talking to another soldier, if it's nearby, although I feel like that's impossible to do. But it's going to be a lot more natural when they are sprinting, which they kind of have mentioned in their last update. This effort has been put into giving your soldiers a more natural look under specific circumstances to improve immersion, which is true. Next, going on to text mods in Conquest. From this update, you will be able to make your units look just the way you want to. You'll be able to select your own text mod textures in the Conquest preview area. Select your favorite custom features for each unit, and the game will save them from display in the ensuing battle. Now, I actually thought that this was for people who create battles, in the editor mod, so they can kind of use text mods for their own way, for kind of the way that soldiers want to look. But this is actually for a Conquest preview area, which I've not actually seen before. So if anybody knows about this Conquest preview area, then let me know in the comments down below, because I've not seen this, or maybe I have and it's just maybe kind of gone past my mind, and it's just kind of just gone over to an area which I've just not seen. But yeah, this is something that I'm quite intrigued, or something I've not seen. I'd like you guys to comment what is your thoughts on that, which will actually be pretty cool. Or is that kind of like the screen at the bottom of the Conquest? So when you bring your soldiers, when you buy soldiers and you put them in kind of the area and you click on them, and then they kind of like a wee display shows up at the bottom. I think that's what it's talking about. Possibly that one. Yeah, I think it's that one that they're talking about. I hope that makes sense. So when you go into Conquest, you click on a unit, and then at the bottom is like the Conquest preview area, which shows you like how many soldiers are in a squad, or what they look like, or what tanks, and then the crew kind of is out the tank, so it shows how many crew goes with the tank. I think that's what I was talking about. Reverse feature, which is actually probably the most one I'm looking forward to. So it says, we're working on a new feature that allows you to force reverse movement of your vehicles without turning. That includes work on the visualization to make it recognizable, predictable, and easy to use. We are doing our best to include it in the upcoming update, but if it's not ready by then, we will add it to the game soon. Yes, this has been, I feel like, a huge thing, especially for vehicles. When you tell them to reverse, they turn around, so that means they're exposed to enemies that are easily able to shoot them in the side, or when they're able to shoot them in the backside when the AI is kind of like turning its tank to go the other way. What it needs to do, I think there should be an animation when it's reversing. You should reverse, but also gives you the option to kind of highlight about, deploying smoke. So when you are under a lot of fire and you're kind of outnumbered on a tank or unit, you want to save it, just tell it to go in reverse, but also deploy smoke at the same time would be an absolute game changer for saving units, and be able to kind of make sure that they don't explode, or basically covering your soldiers who maybe push up, and maybe one of your tanks pulls back to deploy smoke, so that means your soldiers can push up and start a kind of a surprise attack, which would be absolutely excellent. But this is something that you guys would put in the community post or share to the Gates of Hell developer, so that is something I'd like to see from them, in my personal opinion. And lastly, finishing up with and then some. Besides these upgrades, we have fixed several issues and applied numerous minor tweaks and changes to several maps, missions, and units costs, which I'm sure will probably be in a separate channel, or not a channel, in a separate web page, which will have, or will come in the future, which usually kind of like there's a separate kind of dev blog which will show all the minor tweaks that are coming in the near future. And of course, finishing our conclusion with the open beta, saying the open beta for this update starts in a matter of days and will run for a few days before release. As usual, you'll be able to find every detail in the changelog, which will be posted when it starts. So make sure you change, if you haven't already, change your game version to open beta. And if you don't know how to do that, then I've created a short on my channel that shows you how to do that, so make sure you go check that out. Or if you don't know, then leave in the comments down below and I'll tell you how to do it from there. But that is it, guys. That is Dev Diary 160, or the 60th update to the game, which is incredible. Honestly, I can't believe how quickly these updates come, very quickly, and just how they're able to keep pumping out and how they're just ignoring this game. Now, something I must also mention, which I didn't see, was that the new Panzer Elite game, which I've already showed on my channel, a lot of information which you guys are really hyped about, and the developers actually contact me to say that they're going to give me early access to the game, so I will be showing you gameplay very, very soon, hopefully at some point when I hear from the developers. But I do believe that they have released a news update for the game, so which I will show you now. So this is it here. I'm not going to go through it tonight today because it is, I will just make this video even longer than it already is. But this is the new Call to Arms Panzer Elite game, which has been hyped up for quite a long time, and this was posted on Saturday 13th. This is when I didn't have my computer, so I actually didn't hear about this at all, even though I follow them on Twitter or X, and I still didn't receive anything. But this is a video that will be coming up very soon, or hopefully next week, and it talks about, you know, what comes first, the gameplay, you know, walking around the grounds, the map details, the iterations, everything about what's coming next to Panzer Elite. So stay tuned to the channel, as this video will be out very, very soon. So make sure you click the notification bell, and if you guys have liked this video, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and our support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.